Hi everybody, this is Nate and welcome to my channel and welcome Ness. This is good to have you back this month for February. How
Yes,
have you
yeah.
been?
Good. It's been January was we've all been saying this was the longest month of all. Like it was almost felt like it was 2 months, and February is only 4 weeks. So it in theory should go by like in a blink.
And 28 days, I suppose.
28 days. Yeah, yeah. Actually, the in America we have this groundhog tradition where the groundhog comes out and if it sees its shadow, there is 6 weeks of winter, or there is, I apologize, folks, I'm butchering this completely. And I believe the groundhog said, oh, I don't remember now, but I think they basically said it's going to be a longer winter.
It's been a rough winter. I mean, feel like all over the world, actually. I mean, really rough in the east of the US, but also in other parts, I believe, very, very cold, even in certain parts of Europe. I was actually watching Costa Rica had the coldest. I think this is a theme all around the globe.
Yeah, the
Northern
world is
Hemisphere, Central, yeah.
world is really freezing. Yeah, but before we get into talking about the current topics of the day, you had a hit right before we started. So, I wanted you to share that because it's very different than what we're going to cover.
Oh, we were just chit-chatting, and I was sharing with Ness that I was thinking of this whole nationalize the elections, and which is totally crazy, which is unconstitutional. I mean, we know all of this, but it is a symptom in a way, if you want to look at it on the bright side, that Trump is very concerned about the midterms. Why is he concerned? Because the current data points, the signs are not looking good. The Senate, the Texas Senate seat went blue. That's just an obvious
The
concern.
polls, he's had last week was record low ratings.
The affordability issues, the Epstein Files, which we'll talk a little bit today. But anyways, so he is basically talking about the elections. And I need to say first, like, I actually don't believe there will be any kind of nationalization or federal management of the election in the US. I really don't believe that. Um, I feel, though, that he will try to do what he can to basically, let's call it voter suppression. This is not a new tactic, right? If you're talking about trying to remove mailing ballots or remove drop-off box, if you move voting polls booth in and move them where areas you can't even access with a bus, or I mean there are basically a lot of ways that are, the law about you can't give someone food or something to drink in a
Yeah, there's
large.
a lot of
This is all tactics, right? In addition, the hit, if you want to call it this way, is that I really feel that he's going to use what he's at his disposal to add to that and scare. And what does he have at his disposal? He has ICE with more means that he had. And so I feel that it will be part of the intimidation tactics to have in certain areas ICE deployed for safety
Mhm.
purposes near voting stations, voting booth, uh, to to scare people. And I mean, like, think about it. If ICE is being deployed at the Olympics in Italy, why can't ICE be deployed near a voting center? I mean, that is not even psychic. This is logic. So I feel that yes, but at the same time, I also want to repeat some of my predictions that I do see the house turning blue regardless. And I know some of the viewers that are watching right now said, yes, and it can also cheat, it can use Musk's system. And I hear all this.
Mhm.
All I'm trying, and I'm not trying to deny this reality, but the net is that the votes will still come favorably. And so I'm not saying that, is it going to be a fair election? My answer is always there's never been a fair election. There's always been here and there, you know,
Yeah.
maybe not in the magnitude that we've seen in 2024, but what matters is the result, and the result, I've always feel the house turning blue. Now, I've always also said I have a weird feeling about the Senate. Like I'm debating in my yearly prediction that the Senate will turn blue. And actually, it's interesting, but it feels right now just by the numbers that it feels like it has more chance of turning blue than it used to. And yet, I'm not like when CNN calls, I'm not
Yeah,
calling it
you're
because
not
I don't
calling it.
energetically. I don't feel it. That doesn't mean that it can't be, but I'm not certain of my prediction, so I'm not saying. All I'm saying is yes, there will be voter suppression tactics. It's not new, but I think the new aspect is ICE will be used as a voter suppression tactic.
Yeah, that makes sense, especially if it's in communities where there's a high um, Hispanic population or an immigrant population, because, ICE is about 12,000 individuals currently, and what they have been doing is they've been targeting a particular city. Because if they were all spread out and across all the cities, it would be just like 100 ICE people in one city. But I believe in Minneapolis, I think they said they're going to remove 700, but I think the number is 3,000 ICE people were in Minneapolis when their law enforcement's about 500. And then they also sent more people in as it swelled, as the, post Alex Preddy's murder. But they said they removed 700. But again, that's creating the visuals of being a lot of them in a democratic city. So what you're saying, Nathe, makes sense that they could possibly pick these cities that are a bit more minority voters. Like they could go into Texas, intimidate those Texas if they were worried about that district that just
Very
flipped.
close in the polls.
Yeah. Why not just send them to Texas and say they're doing border protection at the polls? So I think that's great you bring this up though too, Nath, because then we can prepare a little bit in our minds and we're not shocked by it. We're like, oh, okay. But then we have to come out in larger numbers. Like as much as, both sides might engage in these tactics, we just need to come up with more numbers so that even if it does, it doesn't work. Yeah.
And there are ways to go around it. Like if they are preparing to deploy ICE, well, you can still vote by mail, then by all means vote by mail. So then you don't
Yes.
have to deal with it.
Do you remember the time when Trump said Putin told him that voting by mail is not secure at all? So because Putin says it, Americans should
Oh,
not
that's
have
like the
mail-in voting. And I'm
benchmark
like,
that's the benchmark in democracy for sure. Yeah.
I was like, okay, if Putin recommends this, I'm going to do the opposite.
I don't.
So, okay, well, that's great that you brought, yeah, folks, he shared the hit very passionately before we started on. So I was wanting us to cover it. I'm going to do a hard turn with some Putin, I guess, related events, but Melinda Gates. I want to talk about Melinda Gates because last Friday, they released some Epstein files, very messy. Victims' names were left, all the powerful men's names were perfectly blackbarred. And
I
on
mean, on that
Friday,
topic, it's the complete opposite, where the victims should be redacted and the aggressor should be names should
I
be
know.
up.
I wonder how that happened. I wonder who was in charge. I was on Linda G's show the other day and she said something and then it created a light bulb moment that Pam Bondi already knew about the Epstein files before she was hired. So she was hired basically as PR for because she's from Florida.
That's right. Okay,
So
I understand that.
she's complete.
And
It's
actually,
basically
she did
hiring
say
like
at the
Ghislaine
very
Maxwell.
beginning, she
Yes.
did say, that's right. She did say at the very beginning, oh, very nonchalant. Oh, they're on my desk.
Yeah.
She did say.
Yeah.
After that, she said she didn't have them. But the first thing she said was they were on her desk.
Yeah, they were perfectly on her desk, like perfect, those binders. But it wasn't like she was this outside force trying to clean up house. She's part of the crime, and she's like coming in and anyway.
And
But going back, yeah,
you also had elements of the file that were published, then removed.
yeah, yeah,
And what we
yeah.
get, the more juicy ones, so to speak, are the snapshots, screenshots of the ones that have been removed.
And they're all available. So everything
Oh
that
yeah,
got put up,
yeah.
pulled down, the internet did its thing. They're there. They're not. But even within that, the powerful people's names had perfectly black bars on them, and all the victims were there out in the open. So I can't even imagine the victims feeling like this double victimization that they're experiencing with their names being leaked because but going back to Melinda Gates, so in the documents on Friday, it was released that Bill Gates had frequented Russian prostitutes. And folks, feel free to correct me in the comments, and I apologize if I butchered this. But Bill Gates had frequented Russian prostitutes. He had an STI, it starts with a G. I'll just say in terms of YouTube, will put us in jail. And he apparently was also very cheap. He apparently didn't want to pay for them or pay for their taxi cab back or their hotel, something like
It's
that, which is
like
so funny.
we were saying beforehand. It's a very poor prostitution etiquette, you
Yeah,
know.
very poor prostitute. He's a billionaire. He should know better. But yeah, so it came up some really, and then he had an STI, STD or STI, and he wanted to get medication so he could secretly give it to Melinda without her knowing. And so this happened Friday. I know, I know. This happened Friday, and then Melinda Gates did a podcast Saturday and it was recorded and it was dropped Saturday night, Sunday morning. And oh my gosh, this was a class act. You'll have to see it, Nathe, if you haven't seen it already. Yeah, she's just basically, acknowledged the victims. She was asked really hard questions like, well, what do you think? And I think, she basically said, like, this is that muck is Bill Gates. Bill Gates needs to answer for that. That's not on me. This was part of the reason why I left him. It was the end of our marriage, our institution, the Melinda Gates, Bill Gates Foundation. And she basically was like, I don't know him. Like, I don't know him. She kind of kicked him to the curb very quickly right after that report. And then he did an interview on Monday and he was just scrambling. He was like, I regret to have, being friends with him. The emails are lies. Like it was, he's had so much media training, but he was scrambling. His energy was totally, completely scrambling. And so I'm curious, like, what's your hits with this Epstein files that are coming out? I don't see Bill Gates recovering. Do you want to pull cards on that? Because I don't think he's recovering. Um, but
Well, I
also
mean,
Melinda
I
Gates looks
personally,
so strong. Go ahead.
well, yes, and I mean two parts. Melinda Gates saw that trend right a long time ago when
Yep.
she divorced and pulled out, and that should have, and I think it did give us a hint that something really big was about to come,
Yeah.
and so she knew. It is interesting timing. She knew a long time ago, you know, when she filed for divorce and all that. Um, let's just pull a few cards on basically what's going to happen with Bill Gates and those allegations.
Yeah, because the foundation is like a big part of this. He goes into countries. He even offered to, I think, when Trump decided to end U.S. aid, he offered to fund it. And I think he ended up not funding it, but he's a big player in the global scene in terms of humanitarian causes.
Let's see. Interesting. The first card, very interesting, is the Hermit. And so you see him feeling very isolated by this, which makes a lot of sense. The Page of Wands, I think it is just, this is a page, right? So this is someone who is trying to activate, could be a distraction, but it's a page, it's small.
Yeah.
So there's no big way he can respond to this. And then we finish with the Ten of Swords. Like this is the end of a certain era for him. And so, yes, this is trouble. What is really interesting is we don't get pentacles. We don't see the impact on the money side. So I think there's a lot more to this. I want to pull one more card
Yeah.
because I think this is a different topic and it's important, is what will happen to the foundation.
Yeah, I was just about to ask that as well. They put all the money into it. They renamed it instead of the Melinda and Bill Gates Foundation, they called it the Gates Foundation. She has her own now too, so she's kind of separate from him.
First card is Temperance. This is a card of healing. His foundation ties to health, a lot of vaccine cures, etc. And Ace of Pentacles, like I don't think it is impacting financially the foundation, which is good for the good that it's doing. Um,
Yeah.
Especially with US aid being removed, which is a whole other topic we're not getting into, but it
Yeah.
is very important. Um, you were asking me what I feel about the Epstein files. I believe there's another batch. I feel like there's another batch coming real soon.
Mm,
I would say in February.
mm. Oh,
Uh,
wow. Okay.
and my take on it is that if we were looking at 3 million documents for this batch, the next one I would say is about 1 million documents. It's just the way that I feel about it. It feels
Okay.
less,
Yeah.
but less doesn't mean um less interesting.
Yeah.
There's gonna be I my also feeling is that the more you see at the very beginning, it was not really telling and interesting. And then as we go, it's the real stuff that's starting to come. So the next batch, I feel, will expand significantly further. I also want to say that this is turning into a global phenomenon where uh, all over the world, France,
Yeah.
Sweden, in there like 10, 15 countries where people have already either um, given up their function
Yeah.
or just being in the files and being named. So in
E
outside US,
e
and also in some countries, they are starting Congress investigations in local national congresses.
Yeah, the state, even King, not King, I guess he's not Prince anymore.
Yeah,
Formerly
Andrew.
known as Prince Andrew.
Andrew.
Andrew, yeah, when the files came out Friday, he basically got kicked out of the Royal Lodge that same day. Like, I mean, I feel King Charles is angry. Like, I feel he's so angry, and Fergie too. Fergie's complicit in the emails as well. So they both were removed right away within like hours or within a day of that release and without any fanfare. Like they were kind of under the cloak of night, they were moved from the Royal Lodge.
One surprise, I would say, I will admit, it's a surprise, not surprise, to see that actually Musk was involved and going to the island. I feel like he was involved, but as a predator himself, maybe that's very naive of me. It's just not the first person I was thinking of.
Yeah, like first on top of list. I think even the filmmaker Michael Bay was featured in it as well. So, yeah, it's very interesting in terms of all the odd lists of folks that are in the Epstein files in various capacities. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, you want also, I think something that I wanted to share as well is another intuition is the timing of the release connects very, very much with what's going on between the US, Trump, and Iran, and this whole situation that has
Mhm.
escalated. And my feeling is Israel is pushing really hard to put pressure on Trump with those files so that Trump wants to do what he usually does with distract. And
Oh,
so
interesting.
I feel like because it's Israel's best interest to have a strike into Iran and actually destroy the nuclear facilities, which we
Yeah.
were told we were told they
Last
were not,
year. Yeah.
and now there's an acknowledgement that they were not.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So you're seeing that Israel is actually pushing for the leaking of the files because they're trying to intimidate Trump, saying we're going to maybe release your name or just pull at that thread that he's so nervous because when you and I read last month when he was at that Detroit factory site and that person
Yes.
yelled at him, pedo protector, whatever, you pulled cards and I had my hit that he was reacting to the first part of what it was,
Mhm.
not the second part because of how quickly he responded. So what you're picking up that Bibi, wants Trump because I would feel they would want not to release the Epstein files because I feel this Epstein files is a three-legged stool. I think it's, the US, Israel, and Russia that's possibly part of this.
And what you're saying is true, but also who's not in the Epstein file up to now is Netanyahu.
Yeah, that's true. He's clean from it.
You see, I
Yeah.
found that super fast.
Oh, interesting. Because it does kind of, they've always pulled on Epstein with Mossad connections,
Yes.
but it never goes beyond that. They kind of really clean their hands from it.
So I think that it's getting super interesting actually now to see who's not in the files as opposed to who is and why are they not. And so is there an action behind the scenes not to release certain information?
Yeah.
Because it would make sense, like if Netanyahu has control over the files, his name would not show.
Yeah. Or even Mossad agents would be, like it would go up because the way it goes up with the US officials or it goes up with even, they have Putin's conversations there with Epstein and stuff like that. Why, you're right. Why wouldn't Netanyahu or Bibi be mentioned in the files themselves if they're one of the three-legged? Oh, wow. I see
Yeah.
that adds to your theory
So
about what's
now you're
happening.
saying how
Yeah.
there could be actually a timing situation where I feel like there's a ton of pressure to do something with Iran.
Okay.
Um, and Trump is not feeling good with this because you know that the whole armada was sent. And you know, the Iranians are going to do what they've been doing for years and years and years, pretend that they're negotiating for years, 10, 15, 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing's come out of this, but in the meantime, they are building the nuclear weapon. So that doesn't fit the narrative with the Israelis who obviously want that threat completely gone. And it
Yeah.
was not gone the last time. Actually, Trump said it was, and it was not.
Yeah.
The nuclear facility, uranium was moved. We actually
Yeah.
saw the vehicles moving.
Yeah, I think there was some bad intelligence there and also Trump wants to hear he killed the job done, that was what he
Yes.
wished for. So you're seeing that the leaking of the files or the internal pressure of the leaking of the files is connected to Bibi possibly pressuring Trump with Iran. And what do you see there? Because my own hit, I actually had a dream about this. I didn't actually tell you this. I had a dream that it gets really, they both puff up their, Iran and the US puff up their sleeves. But at the very last minute, Iran just says, we want peace. I know you're saying, how they've been doing it for a while. And then Iran capitulates and a new leader's there. That's kind of what I saw. And there's no bombs. Folks, that's just my little dreamy psychic hit. So just, take it with a grain of salt. But what are you seeing in terms of what will play in the next coming months?
Well, I would agree that there's a regime change in Iran. That I agree with your dream vision. I just feel like there will be some sort of military action, not full-on war, but strikes. And we'll see. Uh, but yeah, I think Trump's getting already very frustrated. Or we also know that Trump's strategy is always to deflect into, I mean, we saw with Greenland how the souffle went up and down in no time. Um, it was interesting also. I watched Trump. It was very painful, as it always is. It when it was that was like a press conference, and he said, "Well, we should stop talking about the Epstein files because I mean, there's nothing to see. It's actually proven that I have nothing to do with it. Of actually." And then he said, and that was like just killed me. If it proves something, is actually I'm a victim.
I know that was that recent one he did a couple
I
days,
mean,
like
like,
yesterday.
this
I
is
know.
really taking it to like a lie, like a victim.
Yeah. Yeah, it's someone who's really like drinking his own Kool-Aid. Like he really, really is believing his own
And it's
things.
just, but that there's a point this where it's just such a lie. I mean, I know
Yeah.
everything he says is a lie, but
No, but that's an extraordinary lie. It's a Hall of Fame lie kind of thing. It's remarkable, you know.
the best, how does he say the best lie that I was ever said?
Yeah, he's quite creative in that direction. So with Iran, going back, what do you see? What are you seeing in that? Like, do you want to pull
I would
cards?
say
Yeah.
strike. I'm not gonna do cards on this one. I
Okay.
feel a strike. It could be in February, but I'm gonna say I feel it for March.
Okay. It's interesting because April has a lot of forward movement with astrology. So we could see in Aries too, which represents war. So if astrologically, if you're saying that's possible, sorry, if you're psychically saying it's possible, astrologically, I would tell you April or July. Those are the two
Uh,
moments to watch out for. And there's a point where I think something squares Mars at one point. I think Mars squares Pluto, and that's often war as well. I believe when Mars squared Pluto last year, that is when the U.S. struck Iran the first time. So
I will also
I'll
give,
give you that date so you have a sense of it. But yeah, those are the three I would give you if it would occur. I feel a part of it too, though, Iran is, you mentioned how they wait it out. They wait it out. They pretend to negotiate and they make their nuclear program is I think Iran also knows Trump is his health is waxing. We're going to cover astrology at the end today, but folks, I want to say February is the worst month for Trump's astrology for health. And so there are going to be things that are going to happen to him in February that he's going to focus on in March and April to recover from. So just this is the month to really pay attention to his health. I mean, I feel like half the time when I watch him in those news conferences or press conferences, I'm just waiting for him to fall asleep or drop his head down or something. Just waiting for his health to slip up. But yeah, it's very,
but it
very, very,
does really look tired.
he does look very tired. Very
At a
tired.
minimum, you can, I mean, if you, no matter where you, I'm sure no Republicans or MAGA is watching this channel, but if they were, I would just tell them, I know you don't necessarily believe what we say, but would you agree that he's looking tired at a minimum?
Yeah. If
Yeah.
you watch it with the sound off and you just see him, yes, especially the Davos press speech he did 2 weeks ago. If you watch that with the sound off, he was just like,
Oh, yeah, but
barely,
that was just before he hit his hand on the table, the
yeah,
signing table.
yeah.
I'm making a joke here.
Oh, no, no, I didn't know he hit his hand on the
No,
signing table.
no. Oh, he had a
Oh, got it.
massive
Okay, the
bruise,
bruise. Yeah,
and then
yeah.
they said that he hit his hand on the signing table.
I know, it was that signing table. If that was, it was all that's fault.
I mean, like those Europeans, they must have signing tables like in what kind of wood do they have? Or is it
I
metal?
know. They
I mean,
sabotaged him. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it was very, very, very interesting to see the Trump chaos ripple out in different parts.
yeah.
Going a hard segue from Iran, though, now moving to the job market. I want to talk a little bit about the job market. So, this today was actually supposed to be the release, or maybe it was tomorrow. It was supposed to be the release of not only January's outlook numbers for jobs, but it was actually supposed to be the quarter release. So, it's going to tell you basically how major tech companies were going to be doing the last 3 months of from October to December of 2025. So it was a big, big deal. It's supposed to be released tomorrow, but because of this partial shutdown, I believe they're going to release it next Friday instead. So, but yesterday, two events happened, and I want to share it with folks in terms of the job numbers. So, because I'm curious, Nath, if you want to read maybe about, the job market or pull cards on it, because yesterday, two things happened. One is ADP. So ADP, Nathe is familiar with them, but in the States, folks, I think most folks are familiar. They're a private HR and payroll software. They're the largest. So most companies use them to manage their payroll. And because they're so large, they have insight in terms of the job market, especially from the private sector. And what they saw was for January, from their view, and this is just the private sector, not the public sector, which is Trump, and he's always been firing people. So we know we know what picture might be painted there. But with ADP, they saw that the jobs just rose by 22,000 in January, and the expectation was 45,000. So that's pretty shocking, folks, that it's basically less than half of what they expected. And then this article, and folks, you can Google this yourself as well, but they talked about 2025 as a whole. And the professional services corporate had a big uh, downturn, job losses. 57,000 jobs were lost in the private sector for professional and business environments, services, and such that basically overall it was like a net 1,000. So when you factored in the job losses in 2025 and then the job gains, it was just basically 1,000 new jobs in these professional and business services, which is abysmal. And so that's pretty shocking. And then another report came out as well yesterday. So two, reports. Trump must be loving this. Is that it revised the numbers in November and December for what they had, and they said that December had the lowest job openings in the past 5 years. And the benchmark that they're using is, well, what happened 5 years ago? Well, it was the pandemic. The benchmark they're using is an artificial event. Well, it was real, but it was not a common event that we would have a global pandemic and our service providers have to kind of stay at home, out of safety and caution. And so December also is this month where we often have a lot of holiday spending. We often have a job gain where people are, having service providers like at the retail stores and vacations. And so in theory, December should actually have been a bump in terms of the numbers. And so just to hear that it was the lowest in 5 years is pretty shocking. And I also like, Nath, when you have your personal reading sessions, a lot of folks are asking about jobs and job interviews and like what to expect there. And so what are your thoughts? Because when you and I read last time, we saw that the first half of 2026 is rocky, and then the second part, something happens in July-ish, and then it gets better. What are your thoughts about what I just shared with the job and the economy as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, first off, I always think of people, as you know, I do readings every day, and it's such a common theme that people are struggling with jobs. Some people, and what hurts is, and I think about people all the time, is some of them are looking for a job for a long, long time. They are skilled, they have, and it's been like month or year maybe that they are trying to find a job. Yeah.
Can I interject just a bit? One of these articles said that there's been a softening in new job positions for the past 3 years. And so this is about part of a 3-year decline as a whole. Yeah.
So actually, you were very nice with the cards saying like, oh, Rocky. If you remember, actually, it was really bad. Those cards were actually really bad. And it actually shocked me at that time how bad they were. I was expecting not good, but and so I think we are actually proven that it's taking that route. And something to add, unfortunately, those numbers are not going to get better in February because of the weather issues, particularly the Northeast, the East. Bad weather is not good for the economy. It's just as it is. And so,
Yeah.
and for jobs, unfortunately, if you can't go to work, and then there was also the partial shutdown. So there's also this effect. And so I will pull some cards. I will also on job. Let's just start with jobs, and then we'll talk about the stock market and the economy.
Mm.
Um, First 6 month job market.
Job market.
Yeah,
Yeah, just let's look at the jobs. And to your point about the weather, yeah, because the weather, we're still in some storms, and that's going to
yeah,
impact February's numbers as well. So we're not out of the storm, pardon the
yeah.
pun, in terms of these jobs.
It is a bit better. I mean, it starts really poorly with death, which is a complete transforming death, a complete
That's where
transforming
we
death
are.
market. So we're in the low point, and I'm not completely surprised. Then we get to the Eight of Pentacles, which is actually a card of work and money. So there's an improvement. And as we get, I was asking 6 months, and then we finish with the Wheel of Fortune. So there's another change that we were seeing. So we are probably Fed March at a low point, and then there's a recovery after that when it comes to the economy and jobs. I will make a little side point here about the economy because it touches on the economy. It's you can call it a hit or a thought, an intuition thoughts I had today. We haven't heard anything from the Supreme Court on tariffs. And remember, that was supposed to be pretty quick because during the hearings, and I've always had these feelings that actually this is gonna be not an easy one that they're gonna do. So I feel comforted in the results of the verdict here is that it's taking long, and usually Supreme Court uh, verdicts that take long, it's because it's going different ways and they can't agree, and usually it's going to come up with some sort of mixed result. And I feel that that's going to happen with the tariffs, where some of them will be approved, some of them will not. There are different kinds of tariffs, and so I'm doubling down on this prediction.
That makes sense, especially if the judges are having a disagreement, which you're bringing up, but also if internally the government needs to get ready, because it's not just the Supreme Court making the
Yeah,
announcement. The government needs to get ready about where the money will go, because, some readers are saying that it will be maybe struck down, but perhaps no refunds will be given. It'll just be moving forward. And so, yeah, there's a
I
lot
think
of
it
dependencies.
represents the messiness. I think
Yeah.
a fair way to say this, it's this verdict that keeps taking longer and longer and longer,
Mhm.
um, reflects like it's going to be really messy, no matter what it is. And so
Yeah.
there's the impact of that with the economy, where, I mean, it impacts businesses.
Yeah.
So now the stock market, that's
Well,
very interesting. Yeah.
before you go to the stock market, I just want to share something because when you're a reader and you will read people when they ask questions, and then I will notice, and you probably notice too, like a pattern
Hmm.
across them. And so what I've noticed is folks, when they've asked for job interviews, it feels like April, May is where things sort of shift.
Yeah.
And that's what I've heard. I've seen you do. I've seen
Yeah.
other readers when they've asked questions about it. I had my friend just lost her job last week. I immediately took her to people to kind of reach out to. And she, one person told that it's going to be just 3, 4 months where things will start to turn around. So what you're saying so far and what the job report numbers, when we take the logic and the woo and mix it together, folks, it feels like we're just at the bottom. We're like basically at the bottom of this thing. And I would say February, March is hitting the bottom, and then we're going to start to ascend out. And April in particular, the astrology is very positive in April, a forward movement. You might be out of it in April, but things are starting to move in terms of maybe new positions and stuff like that.
It, it's funny you mentioned that, because on my Sunday live, I caught myself, I didn't say it, but I caught myself thinking, I've noticed I've been giving people a lot of 2 to 3 months answer for their job question.
Yeah.
And my fear is like, I just don't want people to think that I'm getting 2 to 3 months to every question on job.
Like
It's like,
lazy?
oh, I
No.
just say 2 to 3 months. No, I pull cards on every question, and
Yeah.
there's a reason why I say that. But I caught myself, this is strange. I've said 2 to 3 months a lot today, and
Yes.
it just gets in the back of your mind. So it's
Yes.
funny you mentioned that.
Yeah, no, I'll see even with Linda when she has a member's life, she'll start to see patterns like that.
Yeah,
Kevin also has stuff like that. And even when I read for folks with their astrology, July is a big month, folks. You really want to pay attention to July because there's some big astrological events. So that happens. Yeah, when you aggregate the patterns across your readings, you have some really interesting markets.
yeah.
But go ahead and do the stock market. That's just what I wanted to interject there.
Uh,
Yeah.
Something I wanted to mention, kind of stock market, but trends in general. One of my predictions in my yearly predictions is, no matter what you're looking at, it's going to be up and down, up and up, up and up, crazy this year. And so I can't tell you the trend is this, the trend is that. So look at what happened. Gold, up and down,
Mhm.
up and down.
The
Silver,
metals,
Bitcoin, up
Bitcoin
and
up
down,
and down. Yeah.
stock market. So I'm not reading on it per se, because when people say, well, will my shares, should I sell? Should I buy? I can't tell you, because
Yeah.
it
It's
is
so
so
up and down.
volatile that I just feel like stock market year on year, I think it's going to be up around the 5% when we get to January to December. But
Okay.
the pattern in between is going to be real crazy. And I think with the metals, you have to be very careful, because people are buying gold, and depending on when you buy, when you sell, it is also starting to get all over the place. So there's nothing secure. And I'm also hearing just right now, be careful with the real estate market, because it's going to follow the same pattern.
Yeah. Yeah. Very
So
interesting.
this is, and it ties, interestingly, that's also what I'm hearing with natural disasters and areas with fires, water issues that have a deep impact on the real estate market. So if you are
Mhm.
thinking of buying, selling a home, just be very careful of what could be a weather pattern, like a fire in the summer or anything, because that can have a drastic impact on the value of the property you're trying to sell or you're trying to buy. Look at LA with
Yeah,
in
the
the
LA fires. Even in Florida, the storms. So what you're saying though for 2026 is just a bit more of peaks and valleys. And
yes.
so just be prepared for that where any other year the energy might not be as volatile. But this year in
It's
particular is a lot of peaks and valleys.
um,
Okay. Yeah.
so I don't think I wouldn't even pull cards on it because it's just so
Yeah.
what you see is at a given point, and we even have, which is true with Trump, some daily movements.
I know.
So, I
Sometimes
mean,
it's
at
a little
this
bit
point,
artificial just to gain something and lose something. So it's not even the winners and losers of that are very
I wouldn't
manipulated.
want to be a day trader today.
Yes. Unless you work for Trump. Maybe
Or then you
unless you
have
know
the
some inside
insider information.
information.
That's the
Yeah.
whole point.
Then you love it. Like, wow, this is the best way to work with the stock market when I already know what the future is. Very interesting. Okay, well, your stuff is matching the astrology. Did you have anything else you want to say with the stock market or the economy as a whole before we move into the astrology?
I feel like there's also a question mark on AI in general, like AI stocks. Um, we need to be a bit careful with that because it is driving a lot of the stock market. And so you have to
Can
be very careful. Yeah.
Can I ask a question? I'm curious if you want to pull cards on it. The
Yeah.
tech companies are very chummy with Trump. And it's not like they were just chummy at the inauguration. They are like at his house, they're up his butt almost like monthly. They were at the Melania screening a week ago. Every event that he has at his house, his like a dinner for Saudi Arabia, they're there. What is up with that? Like, because I'm curious, what's this constant like love bombing that they're doing with Trump? What goals are they hoping to get? Because
Mm.
one thing I go, okay, if AI is really not viable, then maybe you want to manipulate it the way they're doing. But another thing I won't disclose my sources, but I know a company was working on an AI thing and they had government funding and they were actually producing results. It was something in the AI ecosystem that they were reducing costs with the servers. You know how they use a lot of servers? And so they were actually making a lot of headway with using a more smarter server. And then all of a sudden their government funding got cut. And my hit on that was, are these tech companies using their relationship with tech to squash their competition? And I'm curious, what's this constant fervor and checking in with Trump? Because if your technology is good, you don't need to do all of this. Like, you have good technology. So,
Okay, I see exactly what you mean.
yeah.
Let's just see what's the
They're like
relationship.
whining and dining him. I mean, it's just
I mean,
that
going
whole
to the
Jeff Bezos
Melania,
is, yeah,
to
exactly.
going
The
to
Melania
Melania.
film was a Jeff Bezos vanity like a,
Well, so something on that Jeff Bezos, and him producing the movie documentary. I mean, what do you
yes.
want to call it? The Melania stuff. Um, but Jeff Bezos got a big contract with aerospace government contract for the moon.
Okay. Okay.
And that I think that I didn't see this mentioned in the news that much, or even with readers, but
Yeah.
I actually read on that, and there's actually you help me, I help you.
Okay.
Bezos got a huge, it is called the Artemis contract, and got a huge
Okay.
contract for the
Okay.
next moon landing project. And so
Yeah.
all he had to do was producing the Melania movie or whatever it is. Yes.
Yeah, or other things. Because I think it was before Trump was in office, I think it was Microsoft and Amazon were head to head and I think Microsoft was preferred because they had created very similar technology in that manufacturing enterprise space.
Okay.
And Amazon was
Uh,
just dipping their toe into it.
First intuition is, and from the cards, they are government contracts. Page of Pentacles, they can win more government contracts. That would be kind of the Musk strategy. But I feel also, look at that. Ace of Swords and Page of Swords, those usually have to deal with the law, and the Ten of Pentacles. So it's a lobbying for the laws to be favorable for
Okay.
tech.
Okay. So like monopolies and IP protection and um
uh, Look what happened with AI, which all of those companies are working with AI. Trump removed the state oversight on AI, privacy, data privacy. And so that's like a huge help.
yeah. And even also where the models are sourced, because if these models are sourcing data from copyright sources, like authors and painters,
Mm.
then you need that legal, and then, but
Legal.
without those sources, you can't make your model. So it's an interesting legal component. And one thing too, folks, you might not be aware of, a lot of the times when these tech companies work with governments and do these government contracts, they're often testing new capabilities, or they're building new products. And so they're often having this customer who's going to pay 1 billion or 50 billion or something, and they don't really have the concept yet. They are just hired to create the solution. So they have this client that's kind of like a guinea pig client. They'll build the new AI and then they'll turn around and make it for consumer. So it's a
Yeah,
great R&D type of thing when things don't exist
absolutely.
yet. Yeah.
Well, I mean, go back to the creation of the internet. Internet
Yep.
started with the defense
Yep.
industry.
Yep, the cell phone, a lot of our tech was comes from, yeah. So that's why they want to do that. They want to be able to have someone pay for their R&D, and then they have a market differentiation, and then they sell it to consumer, and then they make, but they don't have to absorb the R&D on their own. They'll have the government, the US government pays. Folks, your tax dollars are paying for new technology.
Yes. And if it was, I mean, and fair, a lot of this technology, including AI, will actually help with the health and healthcare. I mean, like progress in disease management and things like that. Talking about disease, there is this, I know I'm opening a topic here,
No,
so
no, go for it.
uh, I never read on it, so that
Yeah,
might
go
be
for it. I'm here
good
for
thing.
it. Yeah.
This very deadly virus in India.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, let me get the name right. I
Yeah, yeah.
just
Let
don't
me, well,
the
while
name.
you say
Oh,
it,
yeah,
I'll
yeah.
Google it too. Is it like
Um,
a measles thing? Indian deadly virus.
Nupia, New.
Oh, Nipah. Yeah, it's from fruit bats. Oh, that's not a good sign.
No, this is very significant, and I've noticed that it's not being discussed as much in the US. It's an
We
outbreak.
have an information blackout here. We only
Yes,
we only care about ourselves.
literally, and I'm located in Europe, and you know where is the first link on my phone? From the
Yeah.
WHO organization. So you would not get that.
No, no, we wouldn't get that at all. Oh, wow, it's spread to other countries. Thailand, Nepal, Vietnam are
From my
they're doing
read,
airport screenings.
yes, all in Asia airport screening about this Nipah virus. It is very, very serious. So let's
Okay,
just
so
read
what
on.
happens? Do you eat food and you get it? Like what
Yes,
should I be?
it's actually, from what I read, mostly fruits. So they do suggest like to peel the skin of fruits.
Okay.
And yes, it's human. It's a zoonotic disease transmitted to humans through infected animals or food confected with saliva, urine, or infected animals. And it can be a close contact infection. So very close to the 2020 pandemic.
COVID. Yeah, I'm reading here. The virus gives a high fever, nausea, vomiting, respiratory, and then it can get pneumonia. In severe cases, the swelling of the brain. Um, but
It's
human to human
terrible.
transfer is low. So,
Yeah.
but there's no vaccine. Oh my gosh.
Yes, yes.
Oh,
So
and
let's
40 to
read.
this feels
It's
like
like
from a sci-fi film. Folks, let me
yes.
just share this so they can read it themselves. So, folks, if you want to pause your screen and you could just read this. You can also Google it. It's at The Guardian, but this little section is the thing about the symptoms. Very interesting. But human to human transmission is low. So, but basically, if you get it, it's really bad if you get it.
Exactly. Oh, there's no recovery. But also, yes, right now it's low, but virus mutate. So,
Yeah. Yes, yes.
okay, I've never read on it. It's
Yeah,
just,
go for it. Read on it.
yeah,
You know, Sylvia Brown, the psychic, she basically predicted in 2020 we would have a pandemic. She predicted exactly what happened. I mean, Linda
yes,
G also predicted it, but then she also said 10 years later it would come back.
you're right. Or
So
only as 5 years. So, oh,
I
can you tell me
I was,
about this Nipah virus in India right now? Nipah virus. Oh my God. The first card is the devil.
Mhm. India has such a large population too.
The King of Wands, like Wands is to me that fire energy.
Yeah.
So
They could also be burning a lot of clothes or burning
Temperance
food.
is healing, yes.
Okay, that's
So the
good.
impact of the world, the Magician, not too bad. I
Yeah.
think it's like contained,
Yeah,
contained.
it
I would
feels like
say,
they burn, and also India has a huge medical community too. So I would imagine they've really tried to keep it contained. Um, but it seems like it's a lot of work. King of Wands, that's a lot of work. Lot
yes.
of quick
And in Asia,
actions.
like it is true that from what I heard, like every airport has a testing facility.
Wow.
Um, you were about to move to the astrology.
I was about to move into astrology, but now it's good to know because I'm actually planning a trip this summer. So I really will check to see where the status of this is. I'm actually going to
Yeah.
go to Australia. So I'm going to
Yeah.
see we're stopping in some of the islands nearby. So that will be important to know. Folks, yeah, I wouldn't say folks you need to change your plans. Just keep your eye out, as you're making your holiday plans this year to be aware of it. Okay. Let me go into, yeah, folks, now we're going to segue into the astrology, and I'm actually going to validate a lot of what you were picking up, Nath, from the hits and insights, especially when it comes to the economy. There is some events happening in February that really relate to it. Oh, before we do that, do you want to just do a little bit infomercial bit? Do you have anything you want to
Oh,
promote?
yeah.
Yeah.
Very quickly, just two things. One is I've talked a lot. This is a new edition of the magazine. This one has a blue cover. The first one was orange, so you recognize them. There's a digital and a paper. There will be links below. The digital is $10, so it's very affordable. The paper is 20 plus shipping, but obviously you have the difference here. The big difference with this episode is that there's been a lot of other YouTubers, psychics that have contributed, which I think is really cool.
Mhm.
And actually, I'm extending the opportunity if you want to do an article one day
Yeah,
in the
maybe
magazine.
I'll do it for the
I'd
next
be
one. I could
happy.
do a
Yes,
horoscopes or something.
yes, I would love. And then also, I am doing something that I really, really care about is a 6 months workshop. It's a preparation to the eclipse that's coming in August, but it's not focused on the astrology. It's really focused on the spiritual meaning of the
Mhm.
eclipse. And so there will be, it's free. There will be
Okay.
one episode every month. The first one is on the 12th, and we're really going to talk about, the shadow energy, so I will work with you to do your own workshop and your own shadow work, so to speak, to get ready for this eclipse. I will be in this solar eclipse in Europe, in Spain, in Mallorca on the August 12th. I would love to live stream from them or at least show
Mhm.
this eclipse. And so I'm really hoping people can join on this program because it's going to be really, really exciting. I feel like this is going to be a massive if you join the program, a transformation on where your identity. And so it's
Mhm.
a big opportunity. If you're a member on my channel, I will do as a bonus a live so I can help you with your progress. But if you're not a member, you just want to watch the video, it's a one per month until August, then you just There's no signing, there's no
Mhm.
thing to pay. You just watch the video.
Yeah, I love that. I love the using the eclipses as beginning and end points for this 6 months transformation, but also in community. You're
Yeah.
helping shepherd them and guide them, but also just I know a lot of times with these chats, people share their ideas or share what they're focusing on, and that can help create accountability towards a goal and really make more progress than if you just try to do it on your own without that community component. Yeah.
I actually have started to work on myself with this program, and it is going so deep and so
Mhm.
that you need to really be prepared for going to this program because it's extremely transformative. And I've only applied the first class, so to speak. And so I really don't know where this is going to take us.
No, but the community creates that multiplier
Yeah.
component, but also 2026 is a year one. This is great for new beginnings. The Chinese New Year
Yes.
is the fire hose. So this is nice to not only start this new intention and kind of see it fruit and take hold for 6 months, but in community, but also in this beautiful time that we're in. That's a really transformative, but very special in terms of all those energies. Very, very rare. Very cool. Okay, let me do my little infomercial bit as well. Folks, yeah, check out Nate's magazine. I'm going to check it out myself, as well as this program. Folks, I don't have a YouTube channel. I do have a newsletter. Pause this video, pull out your phone, and you can scan this to be added. Folks that have my newsletter often receive this full report for a month, and so they can view all of this at their leisure. I also do astrology, and my signature reading is a 2025-2026 paradigm shift reading. If you're someone who's experiencing big life events, 2025 or currently, I can use the framework of astrology to communicate to you what's happening, but more specifically, what will likely happen next, which is just very, very helpful. And then I also have my 2026 calendar. I now have included January 2027. So, folks, when you purchase it, you'll receive 13 pages. So, you'll have a sense of January that just passed, but you'll have, 12 months covered. So, you're not, bereft in any way. And I'm always going to give you 12 months. So, if you purchase this in May, you're going to get May to May. Always. This is going to be an ongoing support.
So
So,
that's a great idea if you want to do it for your birthday because you have 12 months
exactly.
starting from your birthday. Yeah.
Yeah, I know a lot of folks are having like career changes or they're relocating. They know that this is a big year of life changes. I know one client, she's about to leave her job and start her own business and very ambitious and very, very cool. And with that, she's plotting out what does the next 12 months look like? What are the peaks and valleys? What's the money story? What's the friend story? What's the work story? And we're really able to tell her when to plan things based on what the astrology is. So now moving into February, I won't go super into this because I've covered this on some few lives, but I want to validate, Nath, what you were picking up earlier. So February is a very, it kind of continues that January energy of a bit of chaos. We're in the chaos, we're in a lot of overwhelm, but something happens in February that's different than January, which is this new hope starts to emerge, this future orientation starts to emerge, this humanitarian focus. We have a very powerful. That third week in February is going to be very transformative for everyone of a new beginning. But we'll kind of go into that further. But there's something about that the chaos is not, we're not exiting the chaos in February, but the future starts to peek in a bit. The future reaches its hand and goes, hey, we're going to go this way. So that's going to help ground folks or anchor them a little bit about where we're all moving towards with this Trump deflection, misdirection. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe some more democratic leadership starts to emerge
Oh,
or
wow.
the ending of leadership, like Pelosi really handing the torch to someone else, or Schumer really stepping down. There's something about the shifting of the guards that might start to occur. That's one dominant theme of February. The second
And
dominant
that's
theme, yeah,
sorry to interrupt you. Is there
no,
a
go ahead.
reason why you think it's more on the Democratic side?
That just came to mind off the top,
Okay.
but I feel, yeah, but what do you feel?
No, 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 no. I was just, it's pure curiosity. I was just curious, is there something in the astrology that connects more with the Democratic side? But that's a pure, if you
No, it's
had
a
more
pure,
community, yeah.
yeah, I feel the GOP have are held hostage right now with Trump. So we're not seeing any big moves. Even Vance, when he comes
Yeah.
out, he's not a breath of fresh air. He's basically just redouble downing on Trump's platform. And so we're not seeing any new breaths of hope there. I don't know if you saw there was a debate between Jasmine Crockett and James. I think that's his name. I can't remember his last name. Tavarko. He's the high school teacher who's also pastor, and then he's running for the Senate in Texas. But they are also this breath of hope, like this fresh air in terms of a new vision for Texas. And so I think more of the Democratic side having new voices as opposed to the Republican side. That's more logic than woo, I would say. Um, so that's one theme of February. The second theme of February is potential disruptions of our material world, whether it's the stock market, whether it's natural disasters, because a lot of planets are going to take their time and take their turn to square Uranus and Taurus. And I know, Nathe, you're a Taurus sun. So,
Yes.
folks, if you got your sun in Taurus, this is something you might actually feel, and other placements in Taurus you might feel as well, especially if your moon is in Taurus. Just keep in mind each of these planets, Mercury, Venus, the Sun, and Mars, will both, each of them, take their time squaring Uranus and Taurus. There's something about like friction, there's something about like things kind of pulling you sideways, even though you want to focus this way. So, this potentially could be for the collective stock market fluctuations. This could be natural disasters, earthquakes. There's something a little bit about it's harder to feel grounded, it's harder to feel anchored in February as a whole. And going into February, I'm not going to cover everything. I just want folks to be aware of this third week. This is a really blockbuster week, I would say. A lot of big tectonic shifts that are happening. The first thing that's going to happen that I want folks to be aware of is this February 20th event, which is this, we call it the Great Cosmic Reset. A lot of astrologers subscribe, say this or something similar. And this is because Neptune will conjunct Saturn at 0 degrees Aries, and that's a big deal. These three different things that are happening. Neptune and Saturn together are very future oriented. They want to think about, a 3-year plan. Neptune's very visionary, Saturn's very future oriented, really good combination. But they're going to do this at Aries, which is the beginning of the zodiac wheel, and they're going to do this at 0 degrees. And this conjunction, we actually don't have records of when it happened. It occurred either 6 to 10,000 years ago, and the next time it will occur will be 5,700, 60 years from now. And so, or 5,760 CE. And when it will occur, when this event occurs, it's like we get the beginning of the beginning. This is like the first human on Earth. This is the first cell. This is the, Big Bang Theory. This is the spark of life. This is the sperm and egg becoming an embryo. This is just the beginning of the beginning. And so, folks, you want to be aware of where Aries is in your chart because where Aries is, you're having a whole new beginning, a whole new start, very, very powerful energy. And you're not negotiating with the past or any kind of precedents or models. You just get to go for it. This is kind of the FAFO energy. This is kind of maverick energy. So, for example, you, Nath, let me go into not your chart. I know you're a Scorpio rising, so I'm going to go to a Scorpio rising's charts. So, folks, if you're a Scorpio rising, this is going to be a message for you. Oh, let me figure this out. Sorry, I've got this thing on. So, this event occurs for you in your sixth house of daily habits and routines. So, Nath, you're going to have a whole management style. You're going to have a whole sense of routines, focusing on your, it could be new health routines, focusing on how you have your meetings, how you manage your life. This is also your everyday routines. Like this is you making your morning coffee. This is how your bathing routine, how you make your meals. There's a whole new beginning about focusing on those daily routines that kind of get the gears going with your life to go towards bigger goals. And so you're having a whole new beginning of that management style. If I want to do this, what do I need to do? Do I need to hire someone to do this? Or if I want to, it's kind of boss mode too. Like you're becoming a manager a bit more in your life and taking more charge and creating more order in different ways. So you're having a whole new beginning with that. That's going to happen February 20th. And we're kind of in the orb already. Are you already feeling that, Nathan? And it's okay if you're not, but I'm curious.
Well, I mean, it might be other aspects of the chart, but yes, I feel like there's a lot of revamping, rethinking,
Planning.
readjust
Yeah.
patterns.
Yeah.
It's interesting also, something when I watch your calendar here, that third week,
Yeah.
this is the week where there's President's Day,
Oh,
isn't
that's
it?
right. Yeah.
But
That's the
I
week
mean,
of,
like the symbolic of that.
yeah. President's Day is that we as a country will have a day off.
Uh,
And we have the eclipse the next day, the first of eclipse season,
and who is
which
the
is
and
Aquarius.
who is
Yeah,
the
go ahead.
president? And Trump is the president. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a crazy week, just symbolically, that President's Day, which is his day,
Yeah.
is in that crazy week. I thought that's kind of an interesting take.
Yeah. Yeah, something new taking hold. This is a solar eclipse, which is like a new moon to the 10th power. And folks, when it comes to eclipse season, the visual I want you to have is when it comes to eclipses, you want to think of it like a cosmic redirect. This is where the universe goes, "Hey, you're heading this way, I'm going to go this way." And it's very similar to we often are taught this when we take our driver's license test is when a car hydroplanes. So when a car hydroplanes and it kind of hits some ice, you're not meant to grab the wheel and steer it because if you do, you're going to course and you're going to spin and spin and spin. And so if your car ever hydroplanes, you're supposed to just let it go and just see where, it will eventually run out of steam. And so eclipses are like that. You're not supposed to hold on. You're supposed to be like on the roller coaster and just like surrender a bit to this redirect. But humans don't like change, which I'm very much guilty myself. So this solar eclipse is a new moon, but to the 10th power, and it's in Aquarius. And Aquarius is about like authentic community. So even what you're doing, Nath, this online thing, very much
Yes.
of the vibe of the solar eclipse in Aquarius. Very you understood the
Mm.
assignment because this is about authentic community and authentic expression,
Uh,
about people coming together and honoring themselves, honoring their unique desires and their hopes for themselves, but being in community and being seen. And it's a forward focus of adopting new tools, adopting new solutions. And it's going to have a little tension with the material reality because it does square Uranus really directly while it's in Taurus. So there could be a sense of feeling a bit ungrounded or hard to really feel so rooted because it's so theoretical. But it also has enhanced intuition and psychicness because of Mercury in Pisces will trine Jupiter in Cancer. So you actually have a lot of woo-woo support for your program. I just want to say from one eclipse to the other, where the veil is thinner
yeah.
as you pursue this. So I would imagine there could be tarot pulled in as along the way, or
Oh, yes.
communicating with their guides in different ways. So you didn't even know this the details of
No.
this, but very much on trend for this. And this is actually really bad for Trump.
Oh.
Both. Yeah, it's funny because the January 25th new moon in Cap was bad for Trump. The full moon in Leo that just happened February 1st was very bad for Trump. And then the solar eclipse in particular is very bad for Trump because look, we have got the solar eclipse, the moon conjunct the sun, but it's opposite his Mars, which is his fight, his vitality. This is his inner warrior. Mars is not considered something we look at for health traditionally. It's usually not when you're sick, but when you're not vital, when you're not healthy, when you're not able to kind of go, go, go. But when Mars is in the first house of self, we can make stronger insights about health and body. And so it looks very likely a couple days before and after he's having an event or a constraining of his health, and he's going to spend the next 6 months resolving it, managing it. He could potentially have a health event, like his body's
Is
immobile. It's something
it's something
not ideal
not
there.
ideal. It feels like a second stroke to me.
Something like that. Yeah. So he's having the full moon is not great. 2 weeks later, this eclipse is not great. February is the worst month for his health. but it's also good news for us. Not because of the health, but that third week is good news for us. This new beginning that we're all going to start, this not do-over, but it's just a fresh start in areas of our lives. And then this beautiful solar eclipse that's going to kick off eclipse season that's in Aquarius, that's in about community. And also the veil is really thin. So I love what you're doing too with this eclipse, Nath, because when the veil is thin, not only can you get hits, work with your guides and teams, you can also push for manifestation. So this is actually a
Yeah.
really powerful energy to push that future state because the channel is both. If you can do one, you can do the other. And so that's very hopeful for, you didn't even know any of this, but
No.
it's just validating what you're about to do with your members. Yeah. So that's
Well,
kind of how I would describe February's astrology. Yeah.
thank you. That was really fascinating. I'm sure everyone really enjoyed it. So I think that's a wrap, Ness.
Yes. Yes. We
Thank you
covered so
so
much.
much. Yes, and in areas we didn't even expect.
Yes.
Thank you for being here. Thank you everyone for watching, and you'll be back next month.
Yes. Yes. We'll cover
Oh,
March. Yes.
yes, yes. All right. Well, thanks everyone, and enjoy February as much as you can, and we'll see you in a little bit.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.